So, very good morning to all the participants. I'm Dr. Sheetal Kare, PG student and host for the today's first session. On the occasion of Oral Hygiene Day, I wish you all the happy and healthy smile. 1st August, as a Oral Hygiene Day, was celebrated in memory of birth anniversary of Doyen of Indian Society of Periodontology, Dr. G.B. Shankalkar sir. He was a great teacher and researcher. He was a founder of Indian Society of Periodontology. He was a former president of Dental Council of India, and I must say he was a former president at Colgate and Palmolive India Private Limited. He was a great teacher with having 25 years of teaching experience and with 39 scientific papers published over in India and also in the abroad. So, furtherly, gum health is very important for the general health. See your dental professional today. Now, never underestimate your gum health and gum problems. So, aging forward with a periodontist and a healthy step forward, meticulous oral hygiene. So here, we all follow the disciplined vision of our beloved president, late Sri Vijayalji Khurana. He believed to mitigate the regional imbalance and to create health education facility for the students. For the students of our backward district. By his and belongings, constant efforts made our private unaided institute as compatible to other beloved regions of the country by the end of this decade. The Napoleon Hill says, cherish your vision and your dreams as they are children of your soul, blueprint of your ultimate achievements. So, like the way his memories and his blessings are always with us. Here is our Department of Periodontology. The department itself defined as a surgical department. And we are very glad and blessed to have such a wonderful staff and as a mentor, and they guide us through their knowledge and their ideas throughout our journey. So now I would like to tell schedule of the today's webinar session. So firstly, we will have the webinar on basal versus conventional implant by Dr. Chandrahas Gaur. And next, we will have a webinar on oral hygiene and their recent advances by Dr. Monika Mahajan. And then we will have a short video for public awareness of oral hygiene and for all common people. And after which, we will announce the e-slogan competition with the runner-up and winner. And we will end up the session with a vote of thanks. Now, I would like to call our today's moderator for the first session, Dr. Subodh Gaikwad, sir, who is the Associate Professor at Dr. HSRM Dental College, to introduce our today's first speaker, Dr. Chandras Gaur. Over to you, sir.
Sheetal, sorry to interrupt you. Facebook is not working.
Ma'am, can you just unmute Subodh, sir, so he can start and I will look up for this pattern.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Sheetal, for this wonderful your introduction about our department and today's program. It's an honor to introduce my colleague and our first speaker, Dr. Chandra. He is working as an associate professor in Department of Periodontology and Implantology in our college. He is working with a renewed organization that is Sympladent of strategic implant. He has done his master in corticobasal implant from International Implant Foundation, Germany, and he is one of the certified teacher of International Dental Implant Foundation. He is also a winner of World Championship 2019 for the treatment of complex cases. He has been invited as a guest speaker at many dental colleges and at many Indian Dental Association branches also. His vision behind choosing this SimplaDent or strategic implant is that he always says that when others gives up, we start. So it will be very honor to listen the knowledge from Dr. Chandrahas. Dr. Chandrahas, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Subodh, for your kind introduction. And it's my honor to be on this Oral Hygiene Day to share the knowledge, whatever I have on basal implantology. So first of all, good morning to all my friends, colleagues. So here, the topic given to me was basal versus conventional implants. Am I audible to all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So as the topic is on the basal versus conventional implants, so which means like basal implants is the best or the conventional implants is the best. So that's what, but according to me, it is like whenever we talk about the basal and the conventional, there is a word of argument between the practitioners who practice basal implants and the conventional implants. So instead, I would like to say like both these implants are the best, but played at the different grounds. There is no comparison like between the different sports as they are played in the different grounds and with the different rules as everything. So like I would like to share the knowledge about the basal and the conventional implants, which both are played on the different bone. So once we understand the bone properly, then where we can utilize the conventional and the basal, where we can apply these implants, that matters. So whenever the patient comes to our clinic, he comes for a set of permanent teeth implants. So it is up to the doctor to decide what kind of implants he is going to use, whether the basal implants or the conventional implants. If a patient comes to your clinic and you say that you don't have a sufficient bone and you are not an eligible candidate for the conventional implants, but we say always there is a bone. So never say any patient that you can't do implants. So that bone is what the remaining bone is basal bone. So first to start off, I would like you people to understand what is a crestal bone and what is a basal bone. So if you see in this picture, this is the spongy bone. Can you see this? On this bone, the conventional implants are placed, whereas the basal implants, they're very long implants. They go from the first cortical to the second cortical, all the way from the top to bottom. So this is the spongy bone, or we call it as cancellous bone or the alveolar bone, which is utilized by the conventional implants. So for the conventional implants, we need a good amount of the vertical height of the crestal bone. So if you see again in this picture, this is the first cortex, and this is the cancellous bone where the conventional implants are placed, and you go lower down, this is the second cortical, which is always present, which will never get resolved as it is a highly mineralized and less prone for the infection. So basal implants, we utilize this second cortical till here. And if you see in this picture, as long as the teeth are present, the good amount of the alveolar bone is present. But once you lose the teeth, the alveolar bone is completely resolved, and what is remaining is only the basal bone. At this stage of the basal bone, it is very highly difficult for a conventional implant to place here. And you can see in this picture, when the teeth are present, the height of the bone. So maybe till here, the second stage, you can place a conventional implant, but I don't think in this third and the fourth picture, it is possible for normal conventional implant to be placed. So we can't send the patient when this patient comes in this stage. So we need to have a thorough knowledge about the bone so that we can give the patient the set of his permanent implants. And here one more picture, how the bone is going to resorb in stages once the tooth is extracted. So these are the two places where only the basal implants are possible to be replaced. So after understanding about the bone, I would say like these two implants are not only differentiate by the way they are inserted and by the forces are transmitted. Rather, there are more substantial difference lies in the planning and execution of prosthetic care and most of all the post-insertion treatment regime. So before going further, I would like to say about this terminology osseointegration. I think about the osseointegrations in the many universities, we are taught about the osseointegration and maybe all are well aware of osseointegration. There are many terminologies for this, but in a simple term, it is defined as a close approximation of the bone to the implant surface, which is a biological process of bone growth towards the endosseous surface, which is very important for the conventional implants for osseointegration when you go for the second stage. For this osseointegration, it takes minimum of 3 months to 6 months. So it's a time-taking, and conventional implants are also known as two-stage implants. And now the term osseo-fixation. This, we as a basal implantology, we rely on this principle osseo-fixation as it will permit us to finish the case within 72 hours, that is within 3 days. So what is osseo-fixation? It's a primary, stable and cortical anchorage of retention areas of the endosseous implant. The stability is achieved either through compression of the spongy bone or through the macro-mechanical anchorage in the cortical bone. And one more thing is like corticalization. What is corticalization? It is condensation of the spongy bone. If you see here, these are the compressive implants, cos implants, what we call. When you compress this spongy bone, this whole thing area is compressed and ultimately it is going to become a corticalization, and this particular bone behaves like a cortical bone and which permit for immediate loading. So these two terminology, osseo-fixation and corticalizations, are very important for immediate loading implants. Coming to these conventional implants, these conventional implants are inserted from the top of the alveolar crust into the bone, such as cylinders and the blade. So most of you are practicing the conventional implants. They are indicated in situations where good amount of vertical bone is present. And conventional implants, also known as 2 or 3 piece implant, they are rough surface. You can see this is a 1 piece and this is 2. And when a screw is connected to the abutment and the implant, they are known as the 3 piece implants. So which all are so complicated and which make the further complication problems in future. In a cross section, you can see here how the conventional crestal implants are placed. They are placed up to here. This is a spongy bone. But in the most of the time, especially in the anterior section, you find a thin buccal plate. You might need bone augmentation, bone grafting over here, because we have to make sure that whenever we place a conventional implant, it should be well secured inside the bone. No part of the implant should be exposed to the soft tissue. So, although the crestal implants enjoy a high degree of success, but their success is reduced in case of bone augmentations and increase the overall cost where the bone augmentation or sinus lift procedures have to be taken part. So that's the reason. So now the basal implant, which is also known as strategic or corticobasal implants, or in the replacement, or we can say in the replacement in such cases, this is the best implants. So basal implants are inserted vertically or laterally. These basal implants are also called BOI or bicortical screws. So what is the principle behind the within 72 hours we have to place this functional load? It comes from the strategic implant treatment performed under the principles of traumatology, AVO principles from the Swiss group. So it's like it's coming back from the orthopedician principle. In orthopedics, what they do: fracture reduction, fracture fixation, stability, prevention of blood supply, and early and safe mobilization. The same principles are used in strategic implants. Like you can see here in this picture, in orthopedics, how these two fracture fragments are being fixed by bicortical screw fixing, plate and bicortical screw fixing. Sorry, with the same principle we utilize in our basal implants, because of which immediate loading is possible by engaging resorbed stable bones like tuberosity, pterygoid bone, wings of sphenoid, nasal bone, lateral wall of the floor of the sinus, caudal plates in the mandible, linea obliqua. So by these all are which are highly resistant for the resorption. So these bones are utilized for immediate loading possible. And one more thing, splinting within 3 days. After placing the implants, we have to splint all the implants together within 3 days. Why within 3 days? As you all know, the bone multicellular units are stable till first 3 days. So after 3 days only, the activation phase, resorption phase, reversal phase, all this will keep starting after activation phase. Means it will only after 3 days. Till the 3 days as the bone is silent. So we need to splint those implants within 3 days and give it a functional load. So the prerequisite for immediate loading are cortical anchorage of enough implants. Hello? Yeah. Hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You please continue, sir. There was some disturbance, I think.
Okay.
Mute the participants.
Yeah, cortical anchorage of
Hello, Chandra sir.
Surbhi, you muted Chandra, sir, I think.
Sir. Chandra sir.
No, sir. Sir has muted his audio, I guess.
Sir, actually.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Somebody call.
Yeah, equal number of masticatory surfaces, equally wide surface, that is minimum 6 mm wide, correct spatial orientation of the bridges, space for adequate mobility, and allowing lateral masticatory movement, secure and permanent avoidance of anterior pattern of chewing. So there should be absolutely no anterior pattern of chewing, that is canine to canine. Free movement should be there. There should not be absolute no obstruction between canine to canine. So the basal implants, how they are placed? Now this is the first cortical. From here you are going till the second cortical, this area, and this flutes can, 1 or 2 flutes can also cross here. So this is how we are engaging here, and this is called ossifixation. We are fixing this implant into the second cortical, and if you all can see all this, this is one single piece monobolic implant. There is no connector, no 2-piece, so single piece implant, and this particular part, abutment, you can bend into the suitable directions up to 15 degrees to 45 degrees. You can bend, and accordingly you can trim, and it is like a very simple, which makes your work easy. And the proper method, if you see here, this is also correct method, and 1 or 2 flutes you are engaging the second cortical is also correct. But if it is here only within the cancellous bone, this is absolutely wrong. And this is where most of the failures occur when the people don't engage into the second cortical. So we should make sure that you are engaging into the second cortical. And this is a BOI, which is a lateral implant, which is placed by engaging, this is a cortical, this is a cortical. You are engaging all the corticals, more than one corticals by BOI. This is the best implant, but it's really need your skillful. And coming here is a father of corticobasal implantology, Professor Stephen Hide. He says implantology starts when others give up. It is very true. Whenever the conventional implants or anybody give up, that this is not a proper case for the implants, and the solution is only the corticobasal implants. And you can see the type of basal implants. These are the lateral basal implants. On the right side is the vertical screw, that is bicortical screw implants, which are like conventional implants. They are placed straight away from the first cortical into the second cortical. These are the lateral basal implants, and this is how the lateral basal implants are placed. But this need really very highly skillful, and it's a really, you need a surgical good hand to do the lateral basal implants. To simplify that, now bicortical screw implants, which are used just like a conventional implants, which are inserted from the top to the bottom, from the first cortical to the second cortical, just like conventional implants. With a small pinhole, the maximum, the hole entrance would be around 1.5 to 2 mm. And in the hole entrance, you can engage any of these screw sizes. The sizes of its range from 3 to 5.5, 7 until 9 also. So any of the size can be inserted into the pinhole by anchoring second cortical. And by avoiding the bone graft, our principle is we are engaging, these are the pterygoid areas, this is the nasal floor, this is the sinus floor where we are engaging. So absolutely we are avoiding any sinus lift, bone grafts. We are utilizing the maximum available patient's own bone. And in the lower, you can see how we are doing the nerve bypass, either lingual side or the buccal side, whenever according to the position of the nerve. And you can see in this picture, the green lines, these are highly mineralized areas, especially in this anterior area. It is always, we use this area, and even the all-on-4, all concept is based on this because it's a highly mineralized area. And this green area, this is a nasal floor, this is a pterygoids. And we try to avoid this area where there is a sinus floor is there, because it is unpredictable. The sinus will keep pneumatization. So we have to avoid this area. And these are the green area, green arrows, what you're seeing, where we use for our implants. Placing the implants, we call this as a strategic positions, proper strategic positions. And you can see in this picture how the pterygoid implant is placed. This is the tuberosity, this is the sphenoid bone, the pterygoid plate. So all the way it comes from here to here. So this, you all need a very good training before doing attempting all these things. But before that, one should know the thorough anatomical landmarks knowledge about the bone. Once you read about the bone in and out, then you can play in any ground. So what are the advantages of basal implants over the conventional implants? If you see, first advantage, safe load transmission in the basal bone. So like our complete load is transmitted to the basal bone, whereas in the conventional implants, the load transmission is only into the surrounding the spongy bone. The spongy bone, which is like a low bacterial attack, is very often in the spongy bone. And two is a thin and polished mucosal penetration. So no question of peri-implantitis. Here it is only 1.9 to 2.1 is a pinhole through which the entrance is there. And there is no separation of mucosa. Unlike in the conventional, you do that, and the hole is also entrance big. Peri-implantitis is the main cause for the conventional implants failure. And the rough surface over here, you can see, which attracts the bacteria and which leads for the peri-implantitis. And only the patient's own residual bone is required. As I told, we don't go for any augmentation. Whatever the available bone, we utilize the only available bone, the certain strategic positions, and we place those implants. And it is immediate loading. As I told, within 3 days, we have to go for the loading, splinting, and functional load. So which is really very good, accepted by the patient. And it is a very straightforward surgical technique, extraction and implants placement on the same appointment and immediate placement for at least provisional bridge we can give. Patients are never without teeth. Even if periodontal involvement is present, BOI or BCS can be placed immediately after the teeth and infected tissue have been removed. Low demand for the patient compliance. So as is a very highly polished, thin, so the patient acceptance is really good. Low transmission to the are strictly cortical. As I told, the low transmission goes into the directly into the highly mineralized bone, which is infectious free, which is resistant to the infections. And large prosthetic freedom for the dental technicians. Since you can bend those abutments to the desired angle, so the dental technician have the freedom to maintain good aesthetics. So in whichever direction you want, you can bend and you can give a good aesthetics. And as it is a very thin penetration is there, pinhole penetration. So the fluids, blood inflow is prohibited and the bone heals uneventfully that without any secondary bone like oven bone formation. So directly it heals by the osteonal remodeling. So now knowing those advantages, so let's see the predictability of success and failure of conventional and basal implants. So what are the factors which leads for the success and the failure of conventional implants? First, let's see. In the conventional implants, if pre-existing infection of the bone, infections carried during the implant placement, too much torque, and if not enough torque also, some patients must be allergic to the titanium, idiopathic, rough surface, and like smooth surface, alcohol abuse, nicotine, generalized diseases like diabetes, uncontrolled diabetes, and unfavorable moon phase, wrong implant brand, overheating, bruxism, bad bone, age, transmucosal forces. So any of these 18 causes which can be a cause for the failure of the conventional implants. And among all these 18 factors, none of these are under the control of operator. So these are all the patient-oriented the things which might cause a failure of the conventional implants. And coming to the basal implants, you can see only 3 which are like if operator missing the engaging the second cortical, that might lead to the failure. Overload osteolysis around the load transmitting implant, which can be corrected, and retrograde osteolysis. Only these 3 factors which makes the failure of the basal implants. All these factors are under our control. So if you are missing the second cortical, then and there itself, you can recorrect yourself after taking an X-ray, OPG. So the work with the strategic implant is fully predictable and the success can be planned at the earliest. Unlike in the conventional implant, after placing the implant, we have to wait for 3 months. And when we are going to attempt the second stage, and we are really worried so much on the day when we are going to open, whether it got also integrated or not. And as we know, there are a lot of factors which are not under the doctor's control also. Any of the factors might lead for the failure. So in the overall, you can see the basal versus implant in comparison. The success rate of basal implant is 98 to 99%. and whereas conventional is 95%. Loading, it's immediately loaded. Here it is delayed loaded in multiple stages. Patient has to visit multiple times. Duration of time is 72 hours, here 3 to 8 months. And sizes and design, wide range of sizes and designs are available to suit the various bone types and help avoidance of bone augmentation and sinus lifts. And here limited size and designs are available, thereby limiting their application. Eligibility of the patients, almost every patient. Here it is not suitable for diabetic, smokers, and patients with uncontrolled periodontal disease. The bone used over here is a basal bone that is highly dense, mineralized, and less prone to bone resorption and infection. Crestal bone, here over crestal alveolar bone, which consists of bone of less quality, and it is more prone for resorption. And additional surgeries in basal implant, absolutely no need of any additional surgeries. And here you might need bone augmentation, sinus lift, and bone graft. And cost is more affordable over here, and here is more expensive when you are going for augmentation, sinus lift procedure, and multiple visits are required in classic. So in conclusion, I would like to say therapeutic options for peri-implantitis around the crestal implants are limited. Usually the disease stops as soon as it reaches the basal, that is resorption resistant bone areas. Peri-implantitis is not found in basal implants. This is the most important classic thing where conventional implants, most of the conventional implants get failed due to the peri-implantitis. Basal implants take support from the basal bone, which are a lot more resistant to resorption, unlike the crestal bone support for the conventional implants. And basal cortical bone also has much faster and stable repairing capacity. Basal implants are free from interference problem between the connections which exist in the conventional implants. So now after knowing your ground, the bone, you know where to play, which to play. So if you are master in the both, you can play either football or cricket, whatever you want like that. You can use a conventional and the basal implants whenever, wherever it is applicable without sending your patient back. And here are some of the cases which I have done in my practice. This is, you can see severely resorbed jaw over here. In this case, which is highly impossible for the conventional to place any kind of implants. So this is done by the basal implants, strategic implants, what we have placed in these strategic areas. These are all in the nasal floor. These are double pterygoids, and this is in the between the canine to canine. And here we did a nerve bypass. And this is one of the case, failed conventional implants, where the upper part was patient underwent, I think twice or thrice with the conventional implant, where he underwent all kind of grafting, sinus lift, everything, and it got failed. And finally we restored him with, again, you can see here, double pterygoid and nasal floor engagement with the conventional implant. We have given him within 3 days. And this is 2 years follow-up. This is 4 years follow-up case. And in aggressive periodontitis case, you can see here, in this kind of case, cannot be attempted by the conventional implants because it is highly infectious. On the same day, we have removed extracted all the teeth, and on the same day, we have given these implants, everything. And within 3 days, from here to here, this is the situation in 3 days. And one more case here, this is a complete edentulous area. This is the case, we did the complex cases in our world champion, which was done in Kota last year. So this we completed in 3 days. And here is your single tooth replacement over here. And this side you can see on the left side, the molar has been replaced by one is placed in the palatal and one is in the buccal. single tooth replacement by the cos implants. So always when you're going in the molar, we prefer 2 implants as we are going for the immediate loading. And this is a case done in our college, the Hingoli. This was done in the prosto department. The 2 conventional implants were placed. But after placing the 2 conventional implants, they lost here 1 conventional implant. So patient was worried, he wanted some implants. So in the upper left side, we have given the basal implant. Within 3 days, we have given the processes. And now patient is almost, I think, more than 2 years, this case. Thank you. Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much, sir, for the such an informative and interesting session and clearing our all the doubts about basal implants.
Yeah, I would like to take any questions.
Yes, sir. There are some questions. First question is, what are the advantages of immediate loading implants in medically compromised patients?
Yeah, in medically compromised patients, like there is all the patients are eligible candidates for the basal implants, except for those patients, the cancer patients who are under bisphosphonate treatment. Except those, all the patients are eligible for basal implants, as we are placing in the deep cortical bone, which is very infectious free and which is less prone for the infection and the resorption. Yeah.
So anyone want to ask question, they can have this question in the chat box. They can enter in chat box.
Sheetal, there are 2 questions in chat box.
In the chat box.
Yes, sir.
Cost-wise difference between the
yes,
two.
sir.
The cost-wise difference between the two, as I told, it is when compared to the conventional implants, this cost is very much less. If in the conventional implant you are planning to go for the bone augmentation or sinus lift, where the cost is double, and even the time is also. So by that, the cost is very much less in compared to the conventional implants. But the number of implants might be increased over here, but overall cost is less in compared to the conventional implant.
And so next question asked by Gire sir, is indicated in irradiated jaws?
Yeah, in irradiated jaws, it is indicated, but we should see that how long the patient was under the bisphosphonate therapy and all this. In irradiated jaws also, we can do. Minimum of 2 years, it should be there.
Next question is why they are not used in bisphosphonate therapy?
No, bisphosphonate therapy, it leads to the osteoradionecrosis, right? Yes. So that's the reason we don't use, but we can do that over a period of the time after once the treatment is stopped, not during the treatment.
And so last question. So if suppose if basal implants is broken, then we can place it easy to retrieve?
Yeah, if suppose the basal implant is broken, at a stage you say if it is broken at the neck part and the neck, over the neck it is still visible outside, you always have an abutment, cementable abutments where you can cement it over it. And if it is broken at the bone level, then we can leave it as it is, because we have enough of the bone available. We can just leave that as it is, and you can go to the next area to place one more implant. If it is broken above the bone level, you can replace that abutment with the cementable abutment. If it is broken at the level of the bone or below the bone level, you can just leave it like that. No need to retrieve it back.
Okay, sir. Over
Thank
to
you.
you. Thank you so much, sir.
And
for your
if
time.
any questions are there, they can just mail or anytime I'm ready to answer to them. You can
Sorry, sir, your voice is not audible.
you can give my number or my email ID, or they can contact anywhere. So any doubts, I am ready
Okay.
to clear them.
Okay, okay. For participants, we will share sir's mail ID in chat box shortly.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the first session with the webinar on basal versus conventional implant. Now we are moving towards second session.
Thank you, Dr. Sheetal.
Wait, just wait a minute. So now I would like to call Dr. Surbhi Chauhan, who is the host for second session. And second session is a webinar on oral hygiene importance and their recent advances. Over to you, Surbhi. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sheetal. As the host of the second session, I am Dr. Surbhi. Would like to introduce the second speaker of our webinar, our HOD ma'am. Dr. Monica Mahajani ma'am is leading the department since 2016. Ma'am has a numerous publications as a first author. She is a PG guide since 2016 and a PhD examiner as well. Ma'am is so joyful in the academics and imparting her knowledge and experiences with us. I invite ma'am to share the knowledge regarding advancement of the oral hygiene aids. Over to you, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Hello, Surbhi, am I audible?
Okay, yes, ma'am. Now you're audible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Surbhi. Good morning, everybody. A very happy Oral Hygiene Day to all. A warm welcome to all the participants. Wishing you all a safe exit from these difficult times. With due respect and blessings from my parents, my teachers, and our beloved mentor, late Shri Khurana sir, I would like to start my session. This is a relatively light topic.
Sorry to interrupt you, ma'am. Your PPT is not shared yet.
Yes, it's being shared.
Okay, ma'am.